And my feeling is that when I do die, if I have the privilege of knowing I'm going to die, that's what I'm going to do. And a happy death is that I will be so lost in all the wonderful things that I've gotten to do in my life that when I die, I'm not going to notice it, because there'll be an interruption. And I'll just be thinking of really the fabulous, I mean, you got to admit, I've had a very colorful life, and have been blessed. And even tragedy. I mean, that's the price of the admission to be a human being, I feel. I mean, no one is immune to a tragedy. I mean, maybe God hoped that it's not going to be children or a child, but, you know, you're going to lose someone you love, and certainly your parents, your grandparents. That's the price you pay to be a human, which is a privilege. I mean, you don't want to be a rock. You don't want to have no feelings. Of course, it's heartbreaking, but that's what's beautiful, and that's why tragedy is the unifying, you know, drama form of since the Greeks. So my answer to your question is, you know, there's a book called A Happy Death by Camus. When he wrote, I think no one's ever heard of it. I think he was in his 20s, and of course the conclusion of this book is a happy death is the end of a happy life.
What's a day well spent?
A day well spent is a day of happiness, of doing the things you love, of being with the people you love, of having, not wasting your time or your thoughts on a lot of unnecessary. You know, I have such a big operation now that there's always some big problems. You know, if you have 100 houses, one is always on fire. And sometimes I go to bed and I know I got a problem, but I can't remember what it is. And then I say, well, if I can't remember, what's the difference? And I go to sleep. I think a day well spent is not to waste yourself bogged down with a lot of. Of course, there are problems. There's going to be the thing, the school, the kid, the thing, the what have. Most of them, thank God, work out. And the big ones that don't work out are very rare and very significant. And again, you have to say this is the blessing of being a human being, is that it's inevitable. You can't dodge that. You don't want to dodge it.
Is there any part of Youth Without Youth that keys into your own desire to go back and have a second chance at youth?
Only in the age that I am. I joked a lot. My favorite age, I was not a happy kid. I was a very happy little kid, but I don't know, after age 6, it all went to mud. And my happiest decade was the 50s. My 50s, it was, for a man, 50 is a very nice age. So when I was 60, I said, oh, I'm not 60, I'm 50-10. So I made Youth Without Youth at 50-16. I'm now 50-18. So,
we're going to remember that.
So I'm 50-18, and it's like some Romanian or East European currency, you know how they have too many numbers. So you strike away the 2 zeros. So I'm 18. And you're able to do that. You're able to live your life even as a mature man and stuff, but with the attitude and excitement of a young person, because that's not to do with age. That's to do with attitude and you know, getting to make personal movies and having to get the script, and you got to get the truck and the camera's here and the zoom lens is great, and all that's the stuff of being 18, and so you can have that again. That's the only extent that I have no desire to go back and undo anything, because firstly, I mean, you can't. But I mean, even if you could go back, you couldn't undo. Like I would say, well, I wouldn't be in that place where this tragic accident happened. But you can't think that way about tragedy, certainly. But the only thing I would redo, people ask me a lot, well, if you went back, what would you do differently? Well, I'd marry the same woman. I hope I have the same kids. All that. The only thing I would do differently is 4 weeks before One from the Heart was ready to go, we had built, the reason is, no one ever realizes that we built the whole set of Las Vegas on the studio because the plan was to make the film like live television. And we were planning, that's why there was that famous electronic trailer that had all the monitors. The idea was that there were going to be 16 cameras and the cast was going to learn the whole thing like a play, but like live TV in the golden age, and they were going to be able to walk through and dance through this elaborate production, musical production with songs and music live. And the cameras were going to be, even the way the sets were built is when she walks into the house and goes up the stairs, the camera could go on an elevator and go up the stairs with her, and then other cameras would be waiting, and it was all going to be, it's all the way the Saturday Night Live is done. And 3 weeks before the production, the photographer and the art director came to me and said, we don't know how to do it. And really what he was saying, Victorio, was, Francis, I can make it more beautiful if I can just do it one camera at a time, because what he was thinking of as being experimental was different than what I was thinking of as being experimental. I was thinking of live cinema. He was thinking of green and blue. So because they were my friends and I loved them so much, what I should have said, guys, I can understand that you're afraid to do this, but we built it, we've invested in doing it, we have to do it this way. And if you want, let's go get the guys from Saturday Night Live and have them come and help us or advise us. And if you don't want to do it, then I'm going to fire you and get guys who know how to do live television, because that's what this project is. Imagine a whole Hollywood production done live in 2 hours, and when it's done, you have a finished movie, and maybe you do it 10 times and you take the best one. So the only regret I have in my entire life is that decision to go along with not making it live TV. And maybe the other one is that I would have wished that the film industry that we, who were so successful, myself and George Lucas and that whole group, who are all good friends to this day, that I wish that we had left the movie industry to the new younger generation that was better than what it was when we got it. And in fact, it's worse now.